This is the Okayest Hunter podcast. Never pass on shooter bucks, because that's just meat in the freezer. It's your tag, you hunt how you want. This is Okayest Hunter.
Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome to the Okayest Hunter podcast. We're hanging out in the Okayest Hunter podcast studio, brought to you and presented by Spartan Forge, spartanforge.ai. Use code OHP for 20% off of your annual membership. We finally got back with the folks that won at Foam Fest for arrows and for Spartan Forge. So both those guys are pretty happy. They got new arrows on the way and a new membership to Spartan Forge.
So they're all set up. They got it sorted out. That was a fun shoot. Can't wait for it again next year. Lots of prizes, lots of winners.
Yeah.
A lot of smiling faces when we left that one.
Yeah, it was. It was a really good time. And thank you for coming and helping with all of it, too. My gosh.
It was cool the kids were there.
There's a ton of stuff. Yeah, and I think next year my wife has big plans, and so do we. I realize that the title of this episode, as it shows live on YouTube, is inaccurate. It's showing what I had up from last week. So... whoops, there's always something to remember and something to forget. And usually the thing I'm supposed to remember is the thing I forget.
Because we don't really...
But speaking of Vector Custom Shop, I know Greg's been flinging the ZMRs and the HMRs, and he's like fine-tuning it to the nth degree.
That's Greg's nature.
It's how he rolls, and I'm pretty sure mine are flying as they should be. Although, according to him, like there might be some variances with broadhead. From
the fixed blade ones that you guys are you shooting iron wills?
I am the S100s. So I forget the grain weight off the top of my head, but
probably 100 grain. Yeah,
yeah, I think it's the same grain as what is on the tip.
And yours are double bevel,
single bevel with a little tiny bleeder.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw it on the hunting public and with what's his name, the ranch fairy. Yeah.
I don't know. Troy?
Troy, thank you. Yeah, my brain's running a little sloggy today. But yeah, so whatever. That's what I have. And I was maybe going to let one loose over the weekend. You saw my text messages.
I was hoping.
You're like, you going to shoot a day? I was like, no. And I was like, well, maybe I will.
Wait, held him in the stand.
Yeah.
Meat sounds good.
Because that's what was lingering nearby. But yeah, and I was in the Latitude Method 2 saddle, which I love that thing. It's just fantastic. And I was tinkering around with in the backyard or the front yard, actually. A bunch last week, and
were the neighbors wondering? Did you get any questions asked while you were setting it up?
Yeah, some neighbors were like, "Oh, what are you doing over here?" My other neighbor knows, but she didn't even want to
ask.
She's like, "Nah, I'm not." She's
like, "Now he's taking up tree trimming."
Yeah, yeah. So I was just trying to like refamiliarize myself with the lineman, and is that too loud still?
I don't know.
I can crank it down. Yeah, I was just trying to familiarize myself with all the stuff, the knots and things. It took a second. I was texting Alex Chop, like, can you send me the video for the square knot thing that you kind of do this extra loop-a-loo thing through?
The worst part is, so most of those, like, I kind of know, but I got a new camera arm, and it's got the over center buckle or the boat buckle.
Okay.
And so when you have one of those and it threads through, some of them have like a latch that you just put on and then you tighten it. This one you have to thread it through the
boat. Oh, no, I hate those.
And I don't know, I just don't have enough experience with those to like know right away. So it always takes me like 2 or 3 tries. I'm like, oh, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
Redo it.
You don't do it every day. You don't know.
Yeah, I totally forgot how to do it. I don't know why those confuse me, but they do.
Yeah. So whatever. I'm trying like go wild. I'm sorry. I just have to like go through this part, right? And I did post on Go Wild the snap finger video I did.
The hunting non-apparel.
I thought like I shaved my beard. I'm like, I'm not going to do this again for another 6 years. I should probably do at least something with this. So I sat in the studio with the shaved beard, snapped my fingers. I was like, okay, when my beard grows back, I'll snap my fingers and hopefully I'm in the tree stand at that point. And that's what I did.
And it worked.
And it worked. I was like, oh, I was pretty proud of that transition.
It's very cool.
Post over there and some people liked it and stuff. And it's just fun to see I posted it, and because I put that I was hunting for 6 hours or whatever it was, we were out there for a while, dragging that canoe and stuff. I earned more points to go buy some stuff.
Oh, really?
And so I got a chunk of change over there I can go blow. Hey. And I'm kind of like, what do I need to buy? You know?
That's awesome.
So now I got some money burn a hole in my pocket over at Go Wild for posting hunting stuff, that's freaking great
That's
that you
what
can do that.
Do, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, every time you get out in the woods and sit a little bit, you're going to have a better idea of what it is that you want to make that
That's
sit a little
true.
better. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, I know you need gloves.
Yeah, I do. I lose gloves so often. You know what? I bet you they're probably in my hand muff from gun hunting season.
Yeah, I thought of you yesterday because I got home and my wife was still picking up my son from school.
Yeah.
And they like play on the little playground usually after school. So they're playing. I was like, you know what? I should tidy up the garage. There's stuff everywhere.
Did you find my nasty sock?
No, but what I did find made me think of you right away. So I had a whole bunch of like old hunting chairs, metal ones that fold. I'm like, I'm never going to use these. Throw them away. So I got them all stacked up in the garbage can. I was like, you know what? There's like a zipper pouch under the seat. I was like, I should check and see if I have something in there.
Hey,
my really nice
gloves?
fleece Cabela's camel gloves were in there. And I was like, this is probably what happened to all of Eric's gloves. They were hidden somewhere. He forgot about them.
They're in something. I have some old stands in my garage I want to get rid of, but I don't know. I feel like someone might want to use them. I don't know.
You can usually find some on Marketplace. Like people sell them. Like they just want to get them for like $10 or $20.
They're relics.
Free. I got
cheap.
a couple old ones too. I keep them. I don't know why.
I don't know why either. Just taking space in my garage. I don't think I'm gonna use them. Like unless I bought some private land, which isn't gonna be in my near future, to have one stationary for a long time. I don't see that happening, but some on Marketplace, Evan says. Yeah.
Some on Marketplace, yeah. There's a lot of them on there.
How do you ship a stand? I don't want to deal with that. I gotta take it to the post office.
I shipped a couple stands this summer. It sucks. It's like $45.
But then don't you make them pay for it?
Yeah, you can.
But
no one's going to pay $40 to ship a $20 stand.
Yeah, I'll lose money selling it.
So.
That's what's going to happen to me. I can't even sell my damn lawnmower. No one wants to buy it.
Rider or a push?
A push. I don't know. And then I always get people lowballing me on that damn platform.
Oh, yeah. Marketplace.
It's downright disrespectful.
The stand-ups, too.
Oh, constantly. Or the people like, oh, why don't you, send me your link to what are the payment? Zelle. And I'm like, this is a scam. You're scamming me. And I totally bought it. And I know better. And I'm like, couldn't believe it. I was like, damn it.
You're a bold-faced liar.
You're a bold-faced liar.
Get out of here.
We don't tell lies. We just tell false truths.
Oh, there you go.
What's up, Oak Tree Dreams? I'm going to put the phone number on, folks, because it's just Derek and I tonight in case you didn't notice yet. And Greg, it's his anniversary. Woo! Last week was his birthday.
Congratulations, Greg and Lippy. 15 years, I believe.
That's a big one. I hope he's doing something cool, not just sitting there watching us. If he shows up in the comments, we got to like backhand him or something.
You don't comment
Get out of here.
on the OKS Hunter podcast while you're taking your lovely wife out to Burger King dinner for your anniversary. She can get a Pepsi tonight. Okay. It's a big night.
They've done a lot this year. He's gone to like Montana and stuff, right?
Well, they're going to
Wyoming, somewhere
they're
out
going
there.
on a trip to Grand Marais.
Yeah.
Really soon, right?
Yeah, I think so. I can't go anywhere. I gotta do a work trip, and like that's cool, I suppose, but it's not the same.
No.
I just want to go to Eagle River or something.
Sweet.
And just go up there for fall. That'd be fun.
We're heading up to the cabin for my mom's birthday the first week of October.
Okay.
So that's kind of a tradition. Usually her birthday is like prime color up in that area.
Perfect.
So we're pretty excited to go up. My wife said I can sneak in a hunt while I'm up there.
Hey. Yeah, how could you not? Yeah. It's part of the fam.
You're going to do it.
That's great. So, if you're looking for another bunch of kids and stuff, I don't know. That's not going to invite myself necessarily, but maybe some future time.
Oh, absolutely.
Anyway, so I think it might be fun to talk about the hunt we just went on.
Yeah, we got out for opening weekend.
I didn't do any planning. I didn't barely even know where we were going to go, so I didn't have to put a lot of thought into it.
I kept you in the dark.
Yeah, I was kind of like, man, I want to study some stuff and like think about it a little bit more. And
I sent you some screenshots, but I never sent you the actual pin.
No, I was like, I don't know. I had no like holistic purview of what was happening. As far as I knew, the river was literally the only way to get to the spot. And I looked at it after the fact. I'm like, no, someone probably walked across this nasty shit to get here.
Probably.
There was a cell cam or trail cam back there.
So everywhere I've gone so far this summer, early fall scouting, I have found cameras in areas that would have not found them 5 years ago. I mean, we know the public land thing was like really getting crowded, like in big 5 years ago, but it's at a level right now where it's just like downright frustrating.
Do you think it's also that like trail cam and cell cam usage is ticked up? Because it may be the case that maybe people were hunting it, but they weren't leaving cameras out there.
Yes. And the cell cam thing is really
Well, I think cell cams are not harder, but less likely to get stolen because there could be some proof that you were the person that stole it, kind of thing. If they're getting that photo instantly, then you're not going to want to steal it. So I think there's less worry about theft if you're running cell cams.
Absolutely.
So maybe there's just more of that, in addition to people hunting, more and more people hunting.
And I think, we can talk about our hunting stuff, but like just spitballing here, the shift in like the public land interest, I think a lot of it is like the hunting population may be getting smaller, but I think it's getting like more intense. Like the people who do it like want to be good at it now.
Mhm.
Like they don't just do it to do it. Like a lot of bow hunters want to be good, and they're listening to podcasts and reading all the stuff on forums, and like they're getting better. So it's almost like they want to test themselves. They hear all this public land stuff. It's like, hey, I want to go out there and I want to do it. And good for them. That's awesome. But like, go to a public land spot away from my spots.
But that, I think everyone. So yeah, I obviously am working on something that I think can help with this, but I don't know how that's going to be totally received. And it's in beta mode, and we're testing it now. But I have a belief that if we can highlight and showcase that pressure and like hunter density, it can help spread us out more. So as much as someone says, I don't want to share my spot, if it then shows that spot has been occupied, it's potentially likely that then no one will hunt that spot. So I actually can envision someone running around that thing going to all the spots to say that this has been heavily hunted. Don't hunt here.
Well, that's like we run into a way less technological version of that. When we scout up north and whatnot, it's like people always hang those, orange ribbons, right?
Yeah, they're just doing it.
And Dad and I are like, we always like grew up like, don't leave no trace, like don't let anyone know you're there. But I'm like, well, shit, maybe we should just put ribbons everywhere so it looks like 10 guys are going there, and maybe that keeps somebody out.
Yeah, and it's interesting when those things stay out, and when the tacks,
they're everywhere.
I'm like, bro, someone's already been here. Freaking tack staring back at me. Cat eyes, whatever you want to call them.
There was a spot.
Those things saved my life in the Northwoods.
I used those a lot,
like before technology.
We used those a lot up north.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I mean now you can just track it or make a trail to your.
Yeah.
But those cat eyes, man, those things are awesome. Except for when I tacked in a spot, this is probably 10 years ago in Peshio, near one of the rivers up there, and it must have been a pretty popular piece of public ground because I went in the morning for a hunt, and I noticed there was a couple other tacks, and I followed like this fence line up. As soon as I got into these cedars, I flipped my light on and I looked, and there was a tack trail. I thought it was somebody's trail going sideways. I'm like, where were they going? But it was just other people had put tacks. It was like a 50-yard wide runway of just tacks.
You want to get lost?
Everywhere. They were different. There's orange ones. I was like, this is unbelievable. Years of tacks. Historical tacking.
Well, that's we can talk about whatever the hell we want. We'll get to the hunt. That's fine. Tony oh God, I can't talk. Words are hard. Cordero. I've glued antennas onto my regular cameras.
I've heard a lot of people doing that for theft deterrent. Great idea.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's that sticker that people are putting on their cameras for a while. Do you see that? It was like I was seeing ads for last season a bunch. Like, this is, I don't know,
government or something.
Something like very. But I'm like, if I saw that, I'd call bullshit. Like, I'm just not gonna buy it. I don't believe it. And then now that every hunter's seen it because they've aimed at every hunter, we all know it's fake.
Well, as soon as you try to sell it, everybody sees it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but when I used to use lock boxes.
The cam lock box?
Yep, cam lock boxes. I used to write on there because all my covert cameras I used to use, you could password protect them.
Okay.
So nobody can use the dang thing.
But they'd want to just take it down anyway.
So they'd want to take it. But I used to write on the box at least, like, this camera is password protected. So, like, at least before they went through all the work of cutting the tree down or, cutting the cable lock, they knew that they weren't going to be able to use it. Like, maybe they didn't believe it. But
are they just trying to disrupt your hunt, do you think? Like, is that
a
lot of what it is? They see a cam, they're like, no. They just bat it down.
Some guys are just like bucks, and they're just territorial. We had a guy up north, dude, in this spot that he stole. We talked to guys, like 4 different guys, and they stole. This guy kept taking tree stands and trail cameras. Anything that was in that area, it's like he would just patrol it and he'd just take everything, like, to claim his area. I don't know.
Super strange.
It was interesting. It's terrible, but interesting.
It's terrible, but interesting. What are the relics? I mean, we're talking about like these cat eye pins. I think those are used less these days, unless you're in like some super remote area. But I also remember making heavy use out of walkie-talkies.
We did not use those.
My dad and I. I'm in the stand. Are you good? No, I'm just climbing up now.
Would you use
Like-
those for like gun hunting opening day and
Yeah,
stuff? Oh,
yeah.
I can see the excitement, especially as like a young.
It was really like I'm set and I'm strapped in. I'm safe. Hey, there's a deer coming. There's one coming your way. Like this is before cell phones.
Yeah.
There was a
Before
time
text
before, like, yeah, you weren't paying for that kind of service, and everyone had one. Or your service was shit in most places. It still can be. So walkie-talkie still could be a thing. But then it'd always be like, you know, if that volume was up too loud or something like that,
There was always that.
freaking out, you know.
What's that one weird button on walkie-talkies that makes like that weird boop 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 sound?
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? There's always a button. It's like a call.
Yeah,
You accidentally hit that.
yeah. That was a thing.
There goes
Yeah.
the buck.
Yeah, I remember one time my dad's like, "Put the walkie-talkie down and shoot the deer." You know, I was like, you know, like we're not gonna deal with this. It was big too. It wasn't like small.
Well, now they make them tiny, but I'm
Yeah.
sure they were huge.
It was a big thing. I'm trying to think. What are the other weird things from back then?
Man, the trail timers, which were like the original trail cameras. Did you ever see those?
I think my dad probably had
You
some
pull
early
that
trail
little
cams.
white thread
Oh, I know,
across
I
a
don't remember this.
trail.
Shut up.
Yeah, and then when a deer would walk by or
It would trip
whatever
it?
walked by, it would break the string and it would record the time that a deer walked down the trail. One
Oh,
deer
no,
walked
I've
down
never
the
seen
trail
this.
once. That's the trail timer. And then that was like the evolution of trail cams.
Oh my god, what?
Because then we used to use the 35 millimeter film cameras. You know, you get the 24 exposure rolls,
Yeah.
24 pictures, run them to 1 hour developing to see.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's the same deer standing there looking around, smelling your camera.
But you're so excited. You
was
just
cool.
witnessed wildlife.
It was
When
really
they first
cool.
came out, it was like about the coolest damn thing ever. And you just wondered if it worked. You didn't even know. Like everything was like it flashed. You know, it
Oh, yeah,
wasn't
you
even
could
infrared.
You could see that flash from like we hung one up in the little field by the cabin the first night. I remember we hung it there, and I think we spilled a whole bunch of corn out in front of it, right? So we wanted something to come there. But we're watching a movie, and all of a sudden, just like, is that lightning? No, it's a camera. We're all huddled by the window, just waiting for the next flash. Oh my God, it's working! Like we're gonna have pictures of a yearling.
Yeah,
standing there,
but
like,
so
but it was
cool.
cool. It was the first time.
The other weird thing I remember. So like again, cars. You know, some people probably had newer cars that had key fobs or whatever, but we didn't. Even though like they were available, we weren't buying the new ones. We saw like a 10-year-old car or whatever. It's like I remember my dad had like some old Dodge Ram Charger with a 450 block 350 4-barrel carb or whatever it was.
That's like the Blazer-ish style.
Yeah,
Charger?
but the Dodge Ram Charger was like the most beastly SUV.
It was big, right?
Big
Yeah.
gas guzzling monster. Rowdy 4-wheel drive. The thing you just gas in and backfire, pop, pop, pop. You know, just crazy. But I think he had a different truck after that. It was like a Chevy Silverado, or I don't remember if it was a Ram Charger or that one. But he had a hideaway key that he put under the tire or like in the wheel well, which is a terrible place to put it. And I'll tell you why. Because it was like negative 15 degrees, and I had sat as long as I possibly could before. Like if I would have sat any longer, I would have lost dexterity and couldn't climb down. Like it was that bad. Get back, and like we're talking like potential frostbite encroaching on me here, and I'm freezing. And
How
because
old are you?
I was
Pretty young?
like
Teenager?
sophomore. No, so it would have been like junior, senior year of high school, somewhere in there.
Okay.
I think. Young, up in the Nicolay, and I get back to the truck, and the freaking hideaway key is encased in ice
From the wheel.
and I couldn't get it. I was like, oh my God, I can't get the key. Like
you already can't use your fingers.
but yeah, but it was literally like if someone would put a key in an actual block of ice, like there's no way to get it. And so my dad had to like climb down and come let me in the car. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty cold. You're right. Like this was a cold sit. It could have been kind of dangerous, you know?
Holy crap.
So
man.
just stuff like that. Like the world has changed so much. Just so much like in maps. My God, fucking maps. Someone had to navigate. Literally.
Dude, you come to
You'd pull up a freaking map and we would like drive and someone have a freaking map open on the dashboard.
when you come to the cabin, the wall, so like our side door, we don't use the front door at all, but the side door coming off the deck is like here, and then we have like a bench, and it's like a little mud room, all the shoes and boots.
Yep.
But the wall behind the bench, my dad has bought probably 10 of those USGS topo maps.
Oh yeah. Like
and
good
he's
ones.
got them all pinned together.
Which is cool
and the
for
whole
that.
wall is
Yeah.
the area surrounding the cabin, and he's got pencil marks from
Where all the bucks.
the 80s, you know,
Yeah.
this stand, mark it here, and then, you know, scout here, and he's got it all marked, and we've never changed it, taken it down. We still look at it like,
Do you ever see that company Huntera maps?
yeah, I bought him one of those.
Yeah.
I printed him a huge one. He didn't use it. He
Oh,
likes the old one. I have aerial with topo laid over. It's literally sitting in the corner of the cabin. He's never put it.
I was gonna get my dad one of those for where he shot his buck, which is on my uncle's land. He's got a couple bucks he's got in there, and I thought it'd be kind of cool to be like, "This is where I got it. This is where these ones came from." But yeah, it's like a campground, so it's not like exciting. It's not like the Northwoods terrain topo. But I probably could print that because he had spent all his early years hunting up there.
That would be just a neat, like, remembrance.
Yeah.
Is that word?
So Holly, actually, my wife tried to handmade me a 3D. Did you remember this?
I remember you telling me about this.
A moss encased 3D map of where I got my buck.
Like a sculpted.
She recreated them. Yes,
model.
with moss that she bought and like foam and it encased, but it like turned out like shit. It was like I got it and I was like, what is this? I don't know. And she's like, oh God, I'm sorry. But she put so much effort into it.
Thought.
It was a really great thought. I was like, yeah, I think it's really cool, hon.
Thanks.
It was, but it just wasn't anything that like she saw maybe a TikTok or something where someone did it, but they like did it for real.
Oh yeah.
That was, and she did though. She's a perfectionist, so she killed her that she wasn't good enough.
I can't imagine that it wasn't.
It was
good.
still badass and cool.
Good at that
but
stuff.
She's not watching.
Oh, I just thought of another old relic. So deer carts, like super readily available now. They even have the ones that go into like the hitch. I bought my dad one of those. Like you can pull a deer out and it goes right into your hitch.
Oh,
it becomes the cart.
I didn't know that.
So you don't have to lift it up. So my dad hunts alone a lot up north, and his back's bad. I'm like, Dad, this would be awesome. He'll never use it. It's in the garage, guaranteed. Never use it. But when I was younger, a teenager, high school, whatever, we had had the idea to some of these longer walks or down logging trails, like old logging trails. So a cart would work awesome, but we didn't have like a deer cart. So we had this old log cart, which was just like real thin metal with 2 bike tires and like just made a little U and had like wire wrapped around it. And I used it to haul in my gear. So like in the morning,
wood's heavier than a deer anyways, right?
Yeah. Right. So I hauled in my gear in the morning, my pack and all my boots and, and walking in a long way. And I just left it there. And turns out that morning I shot my biggest deer at the time ever. It's a 10-pointer, 185 pounder.
It's a big animal.
Dragged it out. It's like that car's looking real small. I took like 6 tie downs. Its legs were like wrapped like this to get it to fit, but I got it on there and I dragged that dang deer out. And the last time I was at the cabin, actually, I saw that deer cart and I just went over and looked at it. And my dad came over and he's like, how did you put that deer? But it worked one time. Then we bought a deer cart like 2 years later.
Yeah, I think my dad has one. It's always like, oh, I got the deer. Let me walk back to the truck, get the cart. Put the deer in the cart. I'm like,
that's the dilemma.
I'm like the guy that'll carry all the groceries in one trip, even if it means breaking the eggs, because I just can't stomach going back. So I'm like,
but that's because you're a beast.
I'm like, let's just drag the fucking thing, But I'm also not a beast. Like, I'll suffer through
the canoe experience, and not that was like wildly far or anything, but like, I was like, Eric, stop! I need to catch my breath.
Well, I stopped a bunch too. Like, yeah, when I dragged that deer, I was about hacking up a whole entire lung. That was not a far drag, and that deer, it's not the largest deer ever.
It
felt damn near impossible. I was like, "What is happening?" I couldn't fathom why I was so winded.
Because we're getting old, man.
I was like, "This is never." I'm like dying, and my buddy Joel is just, I got it, and he just powers through. And I luckily he did, because the way I went would have taken us into like some small pond inside of this marsh that I didn't see. And next thing you know, I'm in deep water. I'm like, we can't go this way. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm already over here. I'm like, and he has the deer. So now I can't even catch up to him. He's like just owning the whole thing.
He's on some dry land.
He had some like hardcore nerve in his brain. And he just like broke through and suffered.
Those are good friends to have for deer drag.
Yeah. And gutting, by the way. He's like, I remember one year he forgot his knife. But apparently he carries a razor blade in his wallet. So I don't know what that's all about. And then he gutted like 3 deer with a razor blade. I'm like, who does that?
I've gutted a deer with a broadhead.
You have?
An expandable broadhead.
Oh my God.
That was also my worst drag, that deer.
How did that? Did you not cut yourself?
No, it was actually worked really great. It was a Grim Reaper broadhead. It worked way better than I thought. I kept it on the arrow. It was like having a real long knife.
Holy crap. You kept it on the arrow, huh?
Kept it on the arrow, except for when I went up into, to get the windpipe, then I had to take it off. But that drag was really bad too, because I scouted my way into this marsh. Hunted after school.
Yep.
I wasn't planning on going. Ashley was like, hey, you should go. And I was like,
oh, my wife says I should go.
Well, if you're making
it happened to me like once.
If you're making me, I'll go.
Yeah.
So I went, but I didn't have any of my boots or anything. So I asked our gym teacher at school. I was like, hey, do you have any like old boots or like shoes that like people have left behind. And he's like, yeah, I got these old boots, and they're like these little tiny hiker boots. They're like 10 years old. They're falling apart. I'm like, perfect.
That'll work.
Went back. It's all wet back there. So I was like, they were soaked anyway.
Yeah.
But I hunted, shot this buck, and it was the same dilemma you just mentioned. Now I'm back, I don't know, maybe a mile-ish. No trail, but it wasn't terrible going
There's something about leaving your buck behind.
I couldn't leave so I had like my saddle, the platform, and my bow, and I was like, I'm climbing sticks. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to just go, like, I'll just drag them. Well, the way I took was the most direct route because I wanted to save distance instead of going the way I scouted my way.
Easy path.
That was a mistake.
Yeah.
Because I was dragging that buck through almost waist deep muck water that was like, it had flooded.
You take like a couple
so it was
steps
like
and you're
thick
done.
Forest that was flooded, and I'm pushing with the bow and trying to. It was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, you question your decision making insanity at that point. Like, what do I need to do to get out of this? Yeah,
I almost gave up because I was going to a dike because it's a flooded area by the harbor by Lake Michigan, and I was going toward this dike that I knew would be an open trail. And I got to the dike, and I was like, thank God, because I'm dying. I'm dragging for 2 hours. Get the deer up the dike, and they had just bulldozed the dike, so it's bare dirt. There's no grass. It's just raw dirt for like 400 yards back to my car, and I'm like, the deer's like sticking to it. I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm pulling it backwards, going like 10 steps. I literally thought I was going to call it quits and just leave it there.
Oh my God.
But I got there.
Yeah. When you can't give up, you don't give up. Kind of thing. That doesn't make any sense. But Chris is in here with the Wheels Up Outdoors. Drew with Oak Tree Dreams. Hey guys, the phones are hot, and we have the wherewithal and time to take calls. So for those that are listening on TikTok, looks like there's all about one of you. For now, at least. And YouTube, I can't see. I don't know how many people are. There's like 12 people in here somewhere. 262-757-4122 if you want to share some relic stories or
hunting updates, anything you got.
A hunting update, something. But yeah, so you left me in the dark until like I don't even know. I didn't really.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, but it's okay. I'm not gonna like ever creep on your spots. You don't have to worry about that with me.
Those were totally new spots I'd never been to. I literally scouted them the week before. And I was like, hey, fresh sign. This would be a good place to go check out.
And we saw deer. I saw deer. I think 3 does. It was pretty thick. I think I sent a video. Yeah. And you can barely catch a glimpse.
They were right on that edge of that thicker. Yep. I mean, it's just all foliage.
So
hey, that's pretty good. That's a win for public land.
Anytime I can see deer on a public land sit, and I was right in the money. There wasn't anything I was going to do to call over a doe. Like I was like, they're not coming over here. It is what it is. But it got my heart pumping for a little bit because I was like, that's a deer. You know, although there were 2 squirrels chasing each other, and I for sure thought that was a deer. It was 2 of them, so it was like sounded different than just the one.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, here comes a deer. And then there was 2 squirrels. Like, you son of bitches! Damn it! Every
great
time.
Way to break in your first hit of the year.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Great way. Forgot my GoPro on the ground, which it was fine. Not that I forgot it. Then I didn't have a plan to get it up the tree. So I got a really cool
you did like
time lapse.
Climbing?
Yeah.
Did you do like were you putting up the sticks? And all
that?
I
got all that. And then I was like, well, now it's stuck down there, which I guess that's fine. Forgot water. Forgot my nicer headlamp. Luckily I had 2. And it didn't get cold, but I didn't have any extra layers. If the temperature would have dropped, I probably would have been a little cold. But I did try out my new First Light merino wool, whatever the hell thing, top. And I felt really, honestly comfortable in that thing. Good? I mean, you saw me when you dropped me off. I was sweating buckets.
We were both
I was dripping sweat off my nose. My eyes were burning. It was like a lot. And then by the time I got up to the tree and in the tree, it was good. I felt like
I'm glad it was comfy.
Just like genuinely comfortable. It was awesome.
All right, so I'm going to ask the question about the lower man section because I think you had
I did have the first light boxers on.
How did it work out?
I think pretty impressed? Good. Yeah, I think so.
Were the boys comfortable?
Yeah, in fact, because it wasn't even a thought at all. I think it's good because otherwise I normally wear like these cotton Hanes and they're drenched. They're just wet and they don't wick at all. So then it's just
win.
So yeah, now that I think about it, I think my bottoms were pretty dry and comfortable.
Pretty comfy.
We do have a caller. It's is he here? Where is he? Oh, he hung up. Oh, he's gone. It was Drew, but we missed him. Well, if you want to call back again, Drew, we'll bring you on. I don't know what you're doing over there.
I think in a saddle, especially because it's like, pushing your clothes against your skin. If you had like something that didn't wick, You know what I
It
mean?
would've been,
Either
like,
pants or under. I feel like that
uncomfortable.
would be. I
But
would get really uncomfortable.
in the Latitude, it's like a mesh.
Oh, and it's
so
a two panel,
breathes.
so like one goes under you and
Yeah,
one goes a little
yeah.
higher. So I guess it's not as bad as like.
I'm assuming some of the earlier ones are just like one fabric-y piece, and that can hold in heat. It also makes it a little chilly come colder. Like when I did the 100 all-day sits during the rut last year, I could definitely feel some wind up, around my butt.
Around my buttocks.
You got to make sure your shirts are tucked in. Yeah, merino wool has been my favorite upgrade to anything. More than any like physical, like a bow or an arrow or any of that jazz. Like the merino wool has been the best hunting thing that I've gotten over the years. And I think you're wearing some of that stuff too.
I've got a bunch of merino. I don't have any First Light merino, but I've got Black Ovis, which is like the Camo Fire.
Oh yeah,
the Camo Fire has it, and Black Ovis is a brand, and you can get that for pretty cheap. And it seems
if it's the same,
seems to work.
Yeah, I mean the First Light stuff I think is made in China. I'm imagining some of these places are coming from similar,
But yeah,
they're picking similar resources to make it. But yeah, I think the brand's cool. I don't know. Sitka. I think is probably also really great, but I can't afford Sitka. I could barely afford the First Light, but they were running a sale, man, and they just kept dousing me with emails. I was like, look, if I'm going to buy it, this is the time.
I've seen a lot of posts on social media of like a shitload of First Light stuff. And it's like, oh, the sale got me. Went hard and got all the stuff.
It was like 40% off. I don't know. They got some pretty healthy margins. They can give up 40 freaking points and still make money. Like, holy crap.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm the kind of guy who, like, if I laid out all my hunting clothes, it would be like one piece of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have like a whole, like some guys have like a
I don't have systems. No,
with the pieces.
I don't have
like
that.
I buy one thing when I can afford it, and then
That's
I see something and I buy one.
Yep.
So I have like 5 different kinds of camo, and I kind of like it that way because I just kind of plan on what I don't know.
The pants I got, they're waterproof, and they're like this meshy, like swimsuit material almost on the inside. Nice. Super lightweight. So when we're out,
is that what you wore early season?
Yeah, I just got them. I just got them from Sherpers. I don't even know what brand they are. And they're really nice. And I thought, well, come later season, like I'll have some merino wool pants on underneath that, so they don't need to be thick.
Yeah,
like I don't care. The waterproof I think is probably the better way to go.
Waterproof is probably definitely the way to go.
Because then,
as long as they breathe a little bit. I've had some waterproof stuff that is like a Ziploc bag, which is awesome.
Yeah, I thought your pants were ripped. That.
Yeah, so that's what I get.
I was like, oh shit, that's a big rip. That's not good.
I got those Corrugate Foundry pants, which I thought were like big insulated pants, kind of, but they're not. They're just like a shell. And they're water resistant. They got those side zippers, so you can let out heat. And I was like, that's actually awesome because they run a little bit big on me, so I can do the same thing. Layer up underneath.
Yep, and then it doesn't matter at that point. Go. Yeah, your legs are. I've never had an issue with my legs ever being cold. It's my freaking ears, hands, and toes. Yeah. I can keep my ears warm. Got hats for that. Hands, the hand warmer thing. Toes are the last thing that are just totally screwed. No matter what.
Toes are a pain.
We talked about that on last week's show a little bit.
Yeah. But, with the boot guru.
Yeah.
Aaron Hebeisen.
Yeah, Hebeisen. Which it says that's who we're talking to now, but we're not. I'm sorry to disappoint, guys. I didn't update the headline, and if I do it now, it's too late. It doesn't like push it back out there.
There's no undo. Control-Z.
Yeah, I can edit after the fact. So when I get it done, I'll go back and edit it so people aren't confused like they were in the same episode twice, those idiots.
I made a friend. Like Greg's got his trail cam buddies, right?
Yeah, that's right. You did.
So opening day, I made a friend. Shout out to Ryan from Illinois. Woo! So opening day, I had a golf outing with some friends in the southern part of the state. And then afterward, I talked to the wife, and she gave me the go-ahead to go hunt down there, a spot that I scouted. And I showed up, and there was a gentleman in the parking lot who was just gearing up. I saw the Hunting Public sticker. He had the whole saddle set up. And I was like, oh, this guy probably is nearly the same page as what I'm doing. So I went over and talked to him and just was right away like, hey, where are you going so I don't mess you up? And we shared information where we were going. He had never been there before. Cyber scouted from Illinois, lived about an hour away. Super nice dude. And I had just walked the area that he was going into a week ago. So I wasn't planning on hunting there. So I shared what I knew and I was like, hey, you should go check out this spot. I had the best sign I saw, but like, do what you're going to do. But I'm just letting you know, looked really good over here. And then I showed him where I was going to go. And he was like, oh man, my wind is actually really bad for like everywhere I was going to go. He's like, I'll probably kick deer too. I was like, cool. He's like, oh, I'll do it anyway. So we exchanged numbers because he said he had a bad hip or a bad knee. And if he got one, he's like, would you be willing to help drag?
Yeah.
I was like, absolutely, man. I'm out here. I'll help you. So we exchanged numbers. And then about an hour after that, we had gotten into spots, and he texted me, "Hey, man, I just saw another guy. He's walking up toward you, so be ready in case he kicks something up," which I thought was pretty nice of him to text. And a deer did get jumped up. I never got eyes on it, but I could hear it coming across this slough from the little part they were on. But I just thought it was cool to run into another guy.
Yeah,
And anyway, it was just
nice to
very
have that.
cordial and
Yeah.
like, "Hey, let's go hunt." And it was like, it's nice.
So public land's got its woes, but it's also got its wins.
Absolutely.
Woes and wins. Yeah, and Greg's got a new buddy too. His trail cam buddy. Not me. I'm just
your buddy Les?
I make all my friends on this podcast. I met Greg through the podcast, Tyler through the podcast, you through the podcast. You want to make a friend, start a podcast. That's one way to do it.
There you go.
Holy cow. And not to mention all the other podcasters I talk to on a regular basis. And yeah, at this point, I'm like, just, I don't have a lot of time to myself. And like the fraction of moments that I do, I'll put YouTube on. And I've been like my go-to is usually the Hunting Public. And I'll sit down for like 4 seconds. My wife's like, really? I'm like, what am I going to put on? Frozen again? The kids aren't watching it. I can watch something.
I can watch what I want.
What do you mean, really? Like, what else am I going to, what do you want me, would I get that reaction if it was like a movie? What's wrong?
What is the, okay. What's the go-to?
heck?
What do I need to be watching?
I'm just like, why do you even watch? It's always the same thing. Everyone whispers and then they get upset and they shake and she's like, judging us. And I'm like, I'm learning. And I really enjoyed, I watched Mark Kenyon's stuff, the new
show. What is that? Whitetails?
It's very Meat Eater-esque. Like, he got the Meat Eater crew, the film crew to film.
It's legit.
It's put together really well. And it's about him learning very specific tactics from the people that are good at it.
Regional.
Yeah.
Very regional. Because like I watched the first one, was the only one I saw. I think it was the first one.
It was with Taylor Chamberlain.
And the urban one. And I really enjoyed Mark Kenyon's subconscious reactions. Because you could just tell that he was like out of his comfort zone a little bit and like thought things were,
but walk into someone's yard.
It's all different. Yeah.
But you could tell that was wrought with its own challenges.
Yeah,
like knocking on doors, man. There's people that just I don't fucking do it.
No.
I don't care. I don't want to knock it. I used to do sales, dude. Like I had a cold call.
Cold knocking is worse than cold
I had to do that too. I went door to door for that was my first sales job ever, actually. So I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like I don't want to do that.
When we had Leon from not Leon, but
Lee Ellis.
Leon
yeah, good job.
Not Leon from Seek One, and he said he knocks on like 200 to 300 doors a year.
It's insane.
I was like, dude, you can have those 200 enters. Like, I'm sorry, social.
I thought Mark did a really good job of like going through the scripted approach of like, hey, I've noticed there's deer on your property. How do you feel about that? And when I talked to Taylor, because he'd been on the show a couple of times, and I met him in Kentucky and probably some other place too, because I'm around doing stuff now, and he's like, oh, dude, no, I treat it like I'm doing them a service. Like I'm an exterminator because these deer are eating their, plants and gardens and landscaping. And, do you want these off of your landscape and people?
Which is probably a great way to go about it. Cause I feel like some of those people, those are some pretty affluent neighborhoods. And
Washington. Yeah.
Like they probably hire people to do all the landscaping, pests, bugs. So it's like, you're used to just saying, yeah, come out next door, like that's probably a better way than like a friendly, hey,
can I come and hunt your property?
Can I come hang out in your yard?
But how many, there's got to be, since that has taken off. And by the way, Spartan Forge has a feature to catalog the doors you've knocked on and gained permission to.
Did not know
so as you look at the properties, as you would on Onyx, you see which properties are outlined and who owns what and so forth. Well, Spartan Forge has that. And then some where you can document like, do I have access to this property? And what is that access good through? And if the property owner changes hands, you'll get alerted to say, you need to go knock on that door again.
Maybe I'm wrong, but wasn't there a way to set up like an alert so that you can be reminded?
Like, I think so.
If you didn't, or if you knocked and like goes like, because Lee was talking about like
to come back and follow up.
Yeah, to follow up on it and stuff. Yeah. For those of you guys who do that, that would be a pretty.
So that challenge in and of itself is like one that I'm not willing to. I'll just go suffer on public land. I'll just deal with that drama because I don't know, but I have to imagine like so many people get their doors knocked on.
Yeah.
Like how many have you knocked on ever? And were you the first person to ever bother them?
I've knocked on more for turkeys than for deer, but I've knocked on a few for deer.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had anyone say yes for deer, but for turkeys, I've had a few people say yes.
And we heard that too, that's like your gateway.
The turkeys.
Yeah. Yeah, if you hunt turkeys and you build rapport and like, you can hunt some deer.
Turkeys
I do like you.
in Wisconsin in
Turkeys
this
are
area.
nobody
Turkeys is
cares.
the easiest in.
Yeah.
Like even asking for permission to shed hunt, you'll get a hard no. But if you go for turkeys, you're most likely nobody likes turkeys really.
Yeah,
Like
get 'em
even if
outta
they
here.
have other guys, like I just want them dead.
They're awkward animals. I did the turkey hunting. I have 2 turkey calls on there now. Both with OKS Hunter branding from some of our listeners, which is like
Very cool.
pretty epic, honestly. The
Thanks,
fact that our Tom DeCray and Matt with Weathered Oaks, each 2 different people, 2 different things, 2 different types of calls.
Wildly thoughtful though.
Yeah, and effective. I think they're what those called slate calls.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's not a box. It's not a box call. That's different. That's like a box.
The box call's got those 2 little arched rails hollow on the
and those
inside.
ones seem easy enough.
Yeah, they're not bad. The
I
box
got
calls are
really into
easier.
practicing all the calls for a while. In fact, when I was getting
I think I remember your family telling me they were really excited about that.
I was like I bought everything. And then when I got all my gear out this last week and I had my bag open, my kids ransacked it and got all the calls. So they're in the driveway just shaking the turkey gobbler, calling in crows,
That's
like
cool.
doing the owl call, the squirrel one. So then my dog is howling, which, it's all fun. I thought it was just kind of great,
That's
actually.
probably a great
I'm like, they're not going to
memory
break a call. Who freaking cares?
Anytime I have a tree stand or a platform hanging in the backyard, that's all my kids want to do is go climb and sit in the stand.
That's what they were doing.
So as long I always just set them up a foot off the ground or 2
so they
feet.
can, because
let
who
them go
cares?
climb on there and do what they're gonna do.
It's pretty cool. I don't know. So there's a cold front coming like right now. Now.
Yeah. It's
So tomorrow it's going to be cold. So I feel bad that we're here tonight, honestly, because maybe enough work to do where you couldn't have hunted. But I can't hunt tomorrow because my wife has dinner with her friends. And I was kind of like, she hears the word cold front. She goes, oh no. So do you need to go hunt it? I'm like, yeah, kind of. I mean, if you want me to get a deer, you want me to get a deer so I can be done hunting, right?
How many days would you
This
like
is the
me
day
to-
that I go do it. So I'm like sitting on the bench tomorrow, I guess.
Sorry.
What are you gonna do?
You can live vicariously through me.
I'm
I
gonna
will
have
be
to.
going out to hunt the cold front tomorrow.
What's your plan?
I got a spot that I've.
Well, now we have 2
actually-
calls. Hold on.
Hey.
I gotta interrupt you because I don't want to lose people again. We'll talk about that, I think. Oh, it's Chris Whitley. Let's put Chris on. Hey, Chris, you're live on the podcast. How's it going?
How's it going, man? Haven't talked to you guys in a while.
It's been a minute, Chris. I always miss hearing your Southern accent.
Yeah, it's pretty thick.
Did you hear us talk about turkey calls and your ears are ringing or what?
Yeah, that's right. No, I was listening in on you guys talking about running into some cool people on public land and sharing information about, where you're going. I know I met a guy, he was in college and we ran into each other in Ohio on some public land, and we did kind of the same thing, but on that same piece of Ohio property a few years after that, I ran into this just jerk of a guy. Me and my buddy parked at this parking spot.
And you're about as nice as they come, so that's interesting that someone could be mean to you.
Yeah, and I'm easy to get along with, but we pulled up in this parking spot, and just probably 150, 200 yards down the road, I saw this, white Ford truck. It's a huge area of public land, so I wasn't worried about that one truck. I've seen 2 or 3 cars, parked there and still go into this area and have success. And the minute we parked, the truck turned on. The guy comes flying down the road. Oh man, I just dropped my brother in this. One of his buddies down there. We've been all down in this bottom, and we're kind of spread out down there hunting, and you guys planning on going? Yet? I was like, well, you know what? If you guys are down there, we're not gonna mess with you. And it just kind of broke my heart because this is a place where me and my buddy has had the best success we've ever had on public land. And so we thought, you know what, we're going to keep an eye on this guy. And he's like, yeah, we've been here every week or every year the same week. And I'm thinking, we've been here for 10 years hunting the same piece, and I've never seen you, and that's kind of odd. But anyway, so we make it a point. We hunt some other property close by. We make it a point to drive by this guy every single night to see, and he's always by himself. And there's no brother, there's no friend. And we said, you know what, screw it, we're going in. And me and my buddy get back in the last 2 days of our hunt and have, we see a lot of deer. We didn't kill one, but we realized this guy was just flat out lying to us. There's nobody else in that, hunting with him. He's just by himself. And I guess that's just his way of keeping people out of the area he's hunting. And I was just curious if you guys ever run into anything like that.
That sounds like a really effective way to keep people out.
That's the same thing we were talking about, hanging the orange flagging tape, right?
Yeah, I give him props.
That's genius.
Interesting. No, I've never run into that. I've not had a lot of poor experiences like that.
I've had guys not go as far as what you experienced, Chris, about like literally lying that they're in there right now. But like the common thing up up north by us is like, oh yeah, my brother's gonna be in there, and my uncle hunts down there, and like they'll throw the gambit of who's gonna be in there. Like they're not in there right now, but they're just telling you like, hey, they're gonna be in there.
It's like saving seats at the restaurant.
Like, take a hike, find a new spot. But I haven't had anybody bold face lie to me.
Now, me and my buddies for at least gun season, we do canvas an area pretty heavily, and like we try to make a presence with our vehicles and spread them out on the road and stuff like that. But it's because we're trying to spread out from ourselves too, and and you can hit the woods from like different sides and stuff, so you never know who's going to show up from a different angle either. And you're like, who's this guy? How did he get back here? And it's okay.
And you never know how other people hunt. So like what Chris just said, like that guy said he's got it. So even if he had a bunch of people back there, like we see guys who hunt 50 yards off the skidder trail that you walk in on, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're there and you like walk by them on your way in, you walk by them. And then there's guys who go way off the trail, which is kind of like what we try to do. So like, just because there's people back there doesn't mean you can't find a spot.
Yeah, it takes one ridge to get to where the deer are. That guy wouldn't have ever seen it.
Go over the ridge, down the valley, you're up on the next one, right? Like you don't know.
Yeah, me and my one buddy hunt fairly close to each other. If I look through the trees just right, I can see the fleck of orange. But there's deer that like he'll see that I won't, and vice versa. And it doesn't take much for a deer to sneak through people like that.
Yeah, man, that's a shady guy. That's greasy.
Yeah, that's sucks.
Greasy.
Yeah, on this spot too, and that's what killed me because there was one spot there, and I've been hunted. Like I said, I've had guys hunt around me on that spot all the time. I get way down into this bottom, and I think everybody's afraid to get down there because it's going to, your wind could screw you up. Which it's never, for whatever reason, it's never bothered me down there. But I see all these lights around me on the top of the ridge, and you come out, and these guys are like, "No, I've not seen." Which they could be lying. I rarely ever tell anybody what I've seen either. But I've had people all around me. I've just never had anybody just come in and like, "Oh man, I'd appreciate if you guys didn't do that." I mean, my brother's down there, his friends down there. We're kind of spread out, and I was like, I realized, that's maybe smart on his part to keep us out, but I don't know. It's kind of a jerk move. I thought that's the only bad experience. We've met tons and tons of people, and most of the time, guys are pretty well. Let's talk about where we're going. We'll spread out like you guys were talking about. But never had anybody to that extent.
The worst part about that is not only that he lied, but he was lying to play on your goodwill. Like he knew you were, he's hoping you're going to be a good guy.
Yeah, that is extra shitty.
You would leave, and like he was right. So he benefited from you being a good guy and him being greasy, which really sucks.
Yeah, and I felt really bad too because my buddy that's hunting with me, he's like, "Dude, we need to go down there anyway. There's enough land. We could go." I was like, "Man, I'm going to give him his space. He was here first. Whatever, we'll do it." And my buddy's just hounding me the whole week. "Chris, we got to get down there. We got to get down there." And after a couple of days of driving by his truck and it's just him, I said, "You know what? Screw it. I think he's lying with us to us."
And you never encountered him. You never encountered him personally again.
We never encountered him there. Actually, we only had 2 more days to hunt, and so we go down here, down into that area. And when we started hunting it, he left. I don't know if it was the end of his trip or he just, when we got there, he just didn't want to hunt around us. But we never ended up encountering him. And like I said, we went from seeing no deer that week. It's such a special spot in Ohio where we found it took a while to find this place. But I know I had 2 days to hunt. The very next morning I hunted it. I watched about 130-inch plus deer breed a doe about 70 yards from me. So
that's awesome.
Just kind of a cool situation. And we see deer down there all the time. So I don't know. It's just bad situation, but I guess a cool tactic, if you're that kind of guy.
He must have been an East Coast
anyway, it's
guy.
great talking to you guys.
Different breed. No, thanks for calling in, dude. That's an interesting story. One that I'm sure some folks that are going to listen in can relate to.
Definitely relates to what we were talking about.
It's good to hear from you too. We're going to get to the next caller, so I don't keep them hanging too long here.
Good luck this season, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
Yeah, fuck you guys. See
ya. So I think we have another Chris, if I'm not mistaken. Chris, you're live on the OK Center podcast. How's it going?
It's not Chris, it's Drew.
Oh, it's Drew. Okay.
With
my bad, Drew.
Dreams. Remember, I have this issue all the time because, yeah.
Hey, Drew, what's up, buddy?
How's it going?
What's up?
It didn't come through on the auto screen. You must have said something else to it, and it gets most of the words wrong. It says on my call screen, it says, "Do it, OK, greens again." I didn't mean to let you guys know I had to talk to CS, but just calling to shoot the shit a little bit. That's what it picked up. And then the caller ID says Christopher Rick.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like,
Christopher Rick.
Yeah, that's my stepdad, so it kind of makes sense. But
there we are. So it's true. What's up, Drew?
So how's waterfowl season been treating you?
waterfowl season has been pretty badass, honestly. Have more geese this year than I shot last year, so that's a plus. And we've actually this year been very fortunate to get a lot of permission on private land, a lot of good fields. So that's a big plus compared to last year. Last year we had a bunch of no's. This year we only have 26 no's and 2 yeses. So
wow,
that's way better.
That's a lot of.
Yeah, I keep track just because, I don't know, you could get discouraged, but I mean, it's their land. It's really up to them. But it's kind of a goal to get less no's each year.
Well, when my first, which I was talking about this earlier, but my first sales job ever was door-to-door solicitation, selling random shit to business people, or businesses with people in them. And what they trained us to do is to get as many no's as possible because it's a numbers game. And if you get 100 no's, you're going to get the yes. So just go and try to get another no.
Yeah, eventually.
So if you just change the paradigm.
Last year, dude, we were up to 40.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear it's paying off for you guys. You're killing some geese.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been awesome. Actually, it was kind of one of those you got to be there moments, but I'll still share it because it's funny as shit to me. But we were hunting this alfalfa field with 5 guys. One of the newest, actually the very newest guy of Oak Tree Dreams, Billy. And we were sitting there and we were getting a bunch of singles to come in and cup and do it dirty, as they say. And they were, our very first one came in. You could hear it honking. You seen it for a minute, and then all 5 of us lost it. And we started freaking out, because you could hear it, but we're in layout blind, so you really can't see anything behind you at all. Because if you move, then the geese picks you out because you're literally laying in the spread of decoys.
Yep.
And so we're laying there, and all of a sudden, Billy's to our right. So I kind of glanced over out of the corner of my eye, and sure as shit, this goose is cupped and coming right at landed. It literally landed 15 yards from 2 of the other guys we were hunting with, and it hit the ground, or right before it hit the ground, I guess. Billy said, "Kill him." So we all popped out, and I couldn't shoot just because of where the goose was. And the guy on the very end, his name's Jake, and he goes, where the fuck's he at? Billy's right the fuck in front of you. He's like, what do you mean? And this thing's the decoys look pretty convincing, but the goose definitely had bigger size on the decoys, and its head was moving. And it's, like I said, it's 15 yards in front of him. And I'm like, Jesus, dude, it's right there. How can't you see it? And it's it's honking and talking and crap because it sees us. And finally the guy that was next to Jake goes, "No, seriously, guys, where is he? Are you guys fucking with us?" I was like, "No, dude, he's right there."
But finally, was it just a subtle shift of
off?
Was it just a subtle shift of perspective that they couldn't? Was a view blocked or something by a decoy?
No, they should have had the best view of this goose coming in to land in the spread and everything. But it landed right in the middle of a bunch of silhouettes and full bodies. So if you lost it for a second, I could see it. But like I said, it was 15 yards in front of them. And they really shouldn't have missed it because I was on the furthest side of them, and I knew exactly where that goose was.
That's funny. So no,
but
that might be worse than an okay stunner moment. I don't know what you want to call that.
Any geese that are listening, just land in the spread and don't move, and you'll be fine.
Blend in.
They did that, man. A lot of them would have been safe.
Yeah, you just wait till everybody's packing up because you don't have your gun when you go collect your decoys, probably. Crap. So then you just fly away.
No, actually, we learned to keep them loaded because of certain things happening every time we go to pick up our decoys.
It's damn Jake.
And it's dumb when that happens.
Oh, that's funny.
And the same field, actually, which is kind of cool. This is kind of like a win moment, I guess, if that's cool. But we had this one morning, the same field, because a lot of the geese were landing in a field that was just cut. It was the oat field. So that's where the geese wanted to go. And we were in alfalfa. That was, it was higher, but it wasn't knee high yet. It was kind of in the middle of that, I guess. And they don't like landing in tall, grassy fields kind of thing. Well, we decided, because 400 geese kept piling into this one field, and it's pretty small, right along the roadside. And the farmer that owns it tells you no, because he charges like thousands of dollars to hunt the fields. And he knows we really don't want to spend thousands of dollars to hunt some geese that might not even show up. Well, me and Billy decided with the great idea of parking our trucks right next to that field. So like the geese would see it and, flare. That's where they just pick back up, and instead of coming in and cup, they just kind of flare off and fly at a different spot. Well, sure as shit, it works. And that was our best hunt. We killed 6 that day. And I mean, it started downpouring though. Like, it was just terrible. I got sick from it. Kind of sucked. I'm still trying to fight it off actually, but
Yikes.
It was the coolest hunt, but we couldn't film or nothing because the camera gear would have got wet. I tried and I regretted it in like 2 seconds. So I just kind of kept my camera safe.
Was it when we were getting all that damn rain?
Yeah, it was. What was that?
Did you guys get all the rain that we got? Like, was that a week ago or something?
Yes. I think we were on the very edge of it, and we were checking weather all night. Like, it was supposed to miss us, and then it was going to hit us, and it was only going to hit us for an hour, and then it wasn't supposed to, and we wake up, and it says it's not supposed to, and we're up at like 2:30, even though, like, we literally goose hunt next to the local Walmart, which is pretty badass, honestly. I don't think many people
it's got its
say
conveniences. Call it for what it is. Tell me you wouldn't like that.
Yeah, exactly, And we kept checking, and sure as shit, we get out there, get it all set up, and it says it's supposed to rain till noon. And the chances were like 40%. We had that first flock come in that we shot 6 or 5 out of, and then it just started pouring on us. So we called it, and sure as shit, when we packed up, because we put the gun so they wouldn't get it any more wet, we packed all that up. Here's a flock of geese just flying right down into the spread, right where we were going to be, or where we were set up at least. None of us had guns loaded because, like I said, we were sick of being soaked and didn't want our guns more soaked. But yeah, we got that rain too.
Yeah, that was a lot of water.
Well, at least you made the most of it before that rain hit.
Oh, exactly. No,
That's
that was
awesome.
the cool part. Once it started, we all kind of like lost interest right away because you were just getting rained in your face, and I mean, you're laying there looking at the sky pretty much. So it kind of, I mean, we still enjoyed it, but it was kind of miserable for a little bit there.
Laying on your back looking up is not the most ideal position to be in when the rain starts.
You're right. It's not like catching snowflakes.
No. It was downpouring. It wasn't like just a sprinkle. It
Getting
was
waterboarded out there, basically.
Yes.
Who do we have on a while back? It was Courtney Nicholson, the associate director for the Sportsman's Alliance. She, on that episode, I forget which one it was. You can go back in the archives, but she talked about cooking goose and that being her favorite thing to eat out of all wild game ever. And people like went nuts on the social posts because they're like, no, goose
way.
tastes like crap. What are you talking about? And she's like, no, you need to learn how to cook and it will be good.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's literally the cook.
Yeah. So just interesting. So I was going to ask what you're doing with these things once you get them.
We make jerky with them. For like some of it, I mean, depending on how many we get during the day or each day, we'll just grind it all up and make some jerky. Kind of like making venison jerky. I mean, it's pretty much the same process. Otherwise, I plucked my very first goose. That was very, it was a long process, I should say. There's a lot of pin feathers, so more than a chicken. But other than that, I mean, otherwise the breast, you wrap it in bacon, put some jalapenos on it while it cooks on a smoker, and I mean that's pretty much the most we ever do with it. That and plucking the whole thing. Otherwise, it's just jerky.
My buddy Lane from up in Missouri had a great recipe that he always talked about. His grandpa had given him for a goose, and you take your goose breast after it's all cleaned up, and you find one of those river rocks, like those real smooth ones that are like round oval shape. Find a big one. You put that in the bottom of your pot first, and then you fill it with water, boil it. You throw the goose breast in there once it's boiling, and you boil it until the rock is tender. You throw the goose away, and then you just eat the rock.
Oh, you had me in. I was like,
did I have you up there?
I'm like, what's the point of the
buddy
rock
Lane
here?
must say that about once a week.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, you had me going too, man. Yeah. Like, this is kind of cool as shit right now.
Grandpa, this rock. I like what he's saying here.
Lane would be proud. He just shot an elk about a week and a half ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
that's a fun one. So when you get into the deer woods, Drew?
Personally, I really don't get in unless there's a cold front until like October.
It was a cold front tomorrow.
Yeah, see, I have to work and I work this weekend. So
yeah.
Otherwise, if I call in, I mean, I could get out, but I don't think my boss will really like that.
Nah, probably not.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, yeah, October, just because that's when a lot of our bucks, like we've seen like in the years past, kind of start showing back up on ours, because ours is more of a home for them during the rut. I mean, it's thick bedding areas, kind of what they don't want to be in when they're in velvet.
Yeah.
And I mean,
if that's
they're
when the
there,
oak tree,
but we got more does right now. So.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. If that's when the oak tree dreams come true, then that's when you got to go hunt.
Yeah, you know your land better than anybody else.
Yeah. Yeah. The other guys though are bow hunting. Jarrett, he's been bear hunting, hasn't got one yet. And then two other guys are out west right now, mule deer hunting, and they can find all the elk, but can't really find any mule deer bucks to put a stalk on.
Well, you know what would happen if they had elk tags? They'd see a shit ton of mule deer.
Oh, exactly. I told them that too. And they weren't too happy. They're enjoying it, so they're making the most of it.
Well,
That's cool.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much how it went.
It's good to hear from you. Well, thanks for calling into the show, dude. Appreciate it. And I know we're on an off night.
Problem.
We're
It's been a while, so.
on Wednesday, so I know we're usually doing this on Tuesday. So my week's all kittywampus over here.
Yeah, I'm actually off on Wednesdays at this time, so it's kind of convenient.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, hey, good luck with the rest of the waterfall stuff, and whenever you hit the woods, just keep us posted.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good luck, guys.
All right,
Appreciate it,
thanks,
bud. See you.
Yep, bye.
Couple calls.
Yeah.
I thought it was two Chris's, but it wasn't.
Well, I did say Chris.
Yeah, it's like, it's my, yeah. I don't. So okay, you were talking before we took the calls. You were talking about
cold front.
Yes,
cold front. Yeah, so I got a plan for tomorrow. We'll see how it's going to work. I had a spot that I scouted for turkey hunting. It's like a voluntary public access.
Oh, BPA.
So yep.
Okay.
It's mostly field, but there's like a fence line that runs along one edge, and then there's a big bump out of woods that comes into the field, which is actually pretty nice and thick. And there's another small area of woods, and then it's a big cornfield on one side. And once it goes up the ridge, turns into soybeans.
Okay.
So I had scouted it for turkeys. Decent property for turkeys.
And have you seen it since then?
I went back this summer to look at it for
to
deer.
see what was
I never really
growing,
looked at it for deer. And there's like a little pocket along the fence line where it's kind of grassy and there's some low stuff. And driving by it, I'd always seen old rubs on these popple trees. I just assumed there was deer running the fence lines and stuff. But I was like, they've been there every year for 3 years. Like, I wonder if a buck beds 60 yards off the road in that little pocket of grass and popples. And like everyone just leaves them alone. So I went in there thinking that I wanted to go scout it. And I walked around and there's a couple cedar trees and there's a bed in there with a bunch of rubs. I was like, oh, holy shit, they do bed here. So I went over to the popple one and I jumped out about a 130-inch 10-pointer. It was in velvet. Yep. Not a huge buck, but a really nice deer. And he jumped up right out of that pocket of popples. And I was like, walked over there, beds all over. They're all rubbed up. It's 40 yards from the cornfield. You know, he's kind of surrounded by the cornfield. And then just on the other side of the bigger pocket of woods is the soybeans. So I was like, he's probably walking this fence line right along the corn, going right up to the beans. So I picked a tree out right on the fence line there, kicked out a little scrape right on the edge with a licking branch.
Did you send any trail cams up or no?
No trail cameras.
Nope.
Just left it alone.
Didn't
Go back in and was waiting. Need a north wind to hunt that. I'll come in through the corn. I'll pop up into that popple tree.
What's the wind? Is it north?
Northwest. Perfect.
Wow.
He's bedding like northwest of me. So it'd be good setup if he's in either of those beds. And I'm just going to hope and pray that somebody's still going to those beans or coming along the corn and give it a try.
That's cool.
We'll see. It's pretty close to where he was. So I'm hoping that I can there's enough wind where I can get in without getting spotted. But that's the plan.
That sounds like a good plan. I know we put in for that conservancy property. My dad and I and you did as well. And we didn't, none of us got it as far as I'm aware. So I checked and she said, oh, sorry, Eric, not this year. I'm like, damn it. And we've got it a lot of years. I think one year we got like 2 years in a row. And
tell me who got it. Tell me their names.
And I was like, she's like, well, there's other properties we have that you can hunt that you don't need the permission slip for. But you have to like access them through the ones you do need the permission for. It's almost landlocked in their own thing, but like you can go, but then you have to go to the back property. And
I did see that.
To this day, I've never been back to the back. It is a hell of a ways.
It's a ways.
It would probably take you like an hour or two to get there. And even once you get there, I don't even know what the hell you're looking for. But I bet no one effing hunts it. I just don't even know if there's any deer on that slice of it or not. We can look at it on a map, but
I've looked at it and I've thought about going there, but
and I know the property well, so I know what it takes to even get through that property. I've gone through it most of it.
What got me thinking is usually when you find a little parcel like that that's
it's untouched.
It's touched by private landowners because it becomes theirs almost, right?
Yeah,
if the public isn't accessing it ever, and your land butts up to it. It almost feels.
But
like
it's on the far reaches of some private land too.
Is it really?
Like I don't even know that anybody that butts up to it on private land. It's at the back of their land too.
True.
So, but maybe that 4-wheelers or whatever. So they might be shooting onto it.
Maybe we dive into there one day.
Yeah, I've considered it. I'm like, oh man, I know.
Tired just looking at that map.
Yeah, I know, believe me. It's a hoof, and I can hoof it. Like I don't care that much. I don't have that kind of time to get back there. And when you get a deer, what am I going to do?
It's going to take a while.
I'm almost going to be like, call up the company and be like, guys, let me just take a 4-wheeler back there.
Let me hit the hill.
I don't own a 4-wheeler, mind you, but I'll figure out how to get one. But
let's have that problem.
Yeah.
I love that problem. How do we get a deer out? That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. That's what you should ask yourself. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in this week. I don't have much else. I feel tired. I'm just tired. I don't know.
This week has felt 2 weeks long already.
It's crazy. It's Wednesday. It feels like it could be Thursday.
I'm excited for the woods. I'm sorry you can't make it out tomorrow.
That's okay. I don't have a plan anyway, so I don't even know what I would have done.
What is your plan, real quick before we sign off? What's the next hunt look like?
My plan is to call you and Greg anytime I think I want to go and figure out what the F I should do. And I have spots that properties, and not necessarily spots, but any property that I've hunted a long time ago that I'm familiar with, I will see it through a very different lens nowadays. So I'd be happy to go back to old properties I hunted when I was younger because I didn't know the hell I was doing back then. Mm-hmm. And those properties didn't produce because I was sitting there waiting around for a deer because that spot was comfortable. And I didn't understand how deer use the land. I didn't understand where the bucks had been. I didn't even think of any of that stuff. So there's places I could probably go that could produce something for me nowadays that couldn't then.
It's almost like hunting it for the first time.
It's like reading a book a second time. Oh, wow. Now I understand the story better and the narrative. And I didn't pick this piece up before and I'm paying attention to it differently. And, it's kind of, that would be a neat way to do it anyways for anybody listening. Like if you haven't hunted a property in 5, 6, 7 years, go hunt it again. Because you've probably learned some things since then, It's
always interesting reading about
and the land changes.
And reading about guys who have hunted the same private land for ever. And then anyone who gets into it and starts reading some stuff and they go, holy crap. I realized what I did for the last 20 years was just go to the stand because that's what I did. I didn't know why. There's no reason. And then all of a sudden their whole perception changes.
It's called a paradigm shift.
Yep.
And I think even with where I go gun hunting, I don't care as much when I go gun hunting. I just don't and I could, but I'm not willing to I'm not willing to be the hardcore guy at deer camp. I just don't care as much. And then deer camp, I'm not thinking the same way, but I'm I could think about it differently, but meh.
It's been fun.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, so I think when Greg came with us one year, he was really into it, and I was like, Greg, you're seeing a different side of me, man. I don't care. I don't care.
That's all right too, though.
I'm here for the meat, man. I'm here for the beer and the meat and the good times and my buddies and stuff and my dad. It's different. But yeah, certainly. And I can look at things a little bit differently. I'm now that I know this, I could probably hunt this area a little bit differently, but meh, it's okay. And gun season, the deer are doing all sorts of wackadoo things because there's 600,000 people in the forest that weekend.
They're probably not doing what you expect.
Yeah, they're getting shot, chased. They're smelling all sorts of things. There's orange everywhere. They're, Steve just died. They don't even know what the hell's going on. So it's so. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for listening. That's another week. Next week we're back on to Tuesdays, 6 p.m. We have a guest on next week, and then I think going into October, as far as I'm aware, I don't have anybody lined up. I should probably look. I won't waste your time now doing that, but yeah, stay tuned. If there's something you want to hear, hit us up. If you want to share a story, you've got a moment, you can do it on the website. Go to okcenter.com, go to the moments tab, and you can share a moment. If you want to join up on the crew, get some discounts on stuff, and you think you're one of us, then tell us why you think that, and maybe you'll get approved. The guy that approves that's a stickler.
It's a real
So anyway, yeah, have a good night, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah.
you want to do the video?